Thank you for tuning in to The Meliza Show. This episode features Jester, a DJ, photographer, videographer, and talent all around in media and entertainment. With highly recognized events such as That Slow Jam Party and his Passion event series, Jester takes us on a journey from how it all began. Jester, Paul, sometimes I don't even know what to call you yet.
Jester's fine.
Let's go with Jester.
I mean, my real name's Paul. People
we'll
do know. Some people know.
Expose the cookie. Sorry. But no, thank you so much for being here. Honestly.
Happy to.
First of all, Santa Claus Parade held us back.
All good.
And I appreciate your patience with that.
No, it's definitely all good.
We brought you on to the Meliza Show today for a specific reason, and a big portion of that is to who you are and what you've really done for not just Toronto, just the entertainment industry, you and your craft, and there's so much that we got to get into. But I want to start off with, how did Jester even come about?
So I used to DJ in high school, but I wasn't Jester then. I was part of a crew called Prodigy, and we did a lot of up and coming gigs, club gigs here and there. And it was Dr. J who came to an event I was playing, or we were just happened to be on the same event. And he's like, I'm doing this thing called Kingdom Ahsoka, and are you interested in doing something like this? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, maybe. And then him and another promoter named Ian Wilshire, they came up with Jester because I was always one of those people that was constantly juggling music. I was always playing different genres and mixing genres with other genres, and so they were like, "Oh, Jester juggling, I see you," and I'm like, "Oh,
I like that.
I kind of like this." So that's where Jester came in and was born from.
You just touched on the genres of different music, and
yeah.
Kingdom Ahsoka started that.
Yeah.
How did you decide? Okay, I want to tap into all these genres.
I just loved music. Grew up with music. It was always playing. My uncle was a DJ, but he wasn't like a DJ, so he wasn't really mixing. He was just kind of playing songs. And then I started doing weddings with him, and he would bring myself and my partner on at the time, and we would play these weddings for him, and because we actually mixed, and that was kind of like our kind of start into this DJ world. Mm-hmm. And that's basically how I started.
When you go back to family, you just mentioned your uncle,
mm-hmm.
taking a look at your upbringing,
mm-hmm.
touch on some of your childhood and how you've really grown up in, was it Toronto that you grew up in? Yeah.
Scarborough.
Yes. Yes.
I grew up in Scarborough.
Scarborough.
Yep. It kind of especially growing up in Malvern,
mm-hmm.
Music kind of kept me out of trouble.
Yes.
I wasn't really roaming the streets, so I was always happy to rush downtown to play the record. I also worked at Play the Record for a good portion of time. So my music was always around me. It was my job. So it was very therapeutic / a great escape from everything else that was going on in the world.
Do you mind if we tap into that a little?
Sure.
When it comes to growing up in Malvern, the
mm-hmm.
adversities that you may have come across, and how you overcame that with.
I mean, trouble's around the corner wherever you live. That's how I look at it. But I mean, I was happy to make little mixtapes for your friends and stuff like that. So I kind of got my little name in my neighborhood as that guy. So Paul's got the latest mixtape. Let's get it from him, and he's got the latest songs, and it's mixed together like this. And for the longest time too, I didn't have my own equipment because I couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got the job at Play the Record, basically my checks went to equipment. So that was, shout out to Eugene from Play the Record.
Yeah.
He definitely hooked that up.
Shout out to Davey for helping with this production.
Yes.
Sending it all to this 2-woman team. But I think about that, and I look at where you are now,
mm-hmm.
and you've really changed this industry and this space and made a pivotal move into what it's become.
Right.
And I think about the parties that I've attended that you've
mm-hmm.
done. I think about how I've traveled the world. I'm seeing you play to move crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about everything that you got going on. I'm going to start with, you've got Passion event series.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Slow Jam Armies. It's so much. Tell me more of how you creatively came up with all these things.
Oh man, you just said a lot. And
you can
there's
go
so
on.
much to
I'm
unfold.
here to listen. Yes.
I mean, I wasn't always into building and doing my own parties. I was always playing a lot of parties for other people.
Yeah.
And then I just started well, I'll start with the slow jam party. Lisa Monet, she approached me and said, hey, would you be interested in doing something called a slow jam party? And it's going to be called That Slow Jam Party. And it's exactly what the title says.
It's That Slow Jam Party.
Yeah. And I said, so we're just playing slow jams? She's like, pretty much. I'm like, I'm in. It felt like some place that you could go to and like you can invite your friends, and your friends can invite their friends, and that's pretty much how it started. Like, she's like, so we did the very first one in the basement of Revival on College, and it was 40 people.
Wow.
And those 40 people had the best time of their life, and that 40 turned into 80 people. And literally by, I would say, like the third or fourth one for that year, we ended up upstairs at Revival, and there was 500 people.
Wow.
And it just started to grow and grow and grow. And it just felt, and like the one thing I like to touch on with that party specifically is that it's a safe space for everybody. And like when people say safe space, you kind of know what I mean. Like, it's for literally everybody. We don't care what your preference is. We don't care what your color is. We just, if it's music and you like it, we want you there, or you just come and enjoy yourself. And that's basically what That Slow Jam Party has become. And it's become such a, almost like a cult movement type of thing. Like, people really gravitate to it. And it's not just old slow jams, but I mean, obviously it's the old stuff that people like, that we do play as well too, but there's also new stuff like a SZA or a Her or Jacquees or whoever that will also play in the party. And like, shout out to Marlon, shout out to Rebecca, Tim, Lissa, the whole team. Like, that team has been really, like, truly a team, and it's been really a team effort to put that party together. So I really enjoyed it. Now, Passion Party, I kind of did that off of it's funny, I wanted to create something that I could invite like anybody to, like the people who followed me over the years, something that they can gravitate to and say, I like this. And I always wanted it to be in venues that I can say, like, you would love to go to, or you know, just not just anywhere, not some hole in the wall. And there's nothing wrong with hole in the wall venues. There's vibes. You can create vibes anywhere, but I wanted the venues to be special as well too. So and I'm passionate. I have it tattooed on me. Like, I love that word passion. I think it speaks to everybody when no matter whatever you're doing, whether you're a creative, whether it's music, art, dance, whatever, you do it with passion, and that's where the party stems from.
How many tattoos do you have? Including the one that you got today?
I just got 3. I got these little hearts today.
So
I lost track.
Too many.
I don't know.
He just got a tattoo today, right before this.
Right before this, yeah. That happened.
That is so cute. 3 hearts?
Yeah, so my wife and my 2 kids.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
I love that.
So they got a heart each. Yeah.
Love. You tapped into a lot of things there, and I got shivers when you mentioned we started at 40, we went to 80, 500. You're about to be in Dubai on Friday.
Yeah.
What does that feel like to just be bringing something that you've created here internationally?
I mean, specifically for Slow Jam, it's both parties, both Slow Jam and Passion are both being done in Dubai. So Passion is a brunch in Dubai for the first time ever. So that's crazy. But Slow Jam, I mean, I think people want to connect with other people and they want that feeling. And like, there's so much with music, there's so many emotions involved. And for us as DJs, like we kind of help people get through their week, and when that weekend comes, we're their escape.
Yes.
And so, what better escape than music? Yeah. And I watch people in the crowd, especially like, I mean, I know we're gonna dive into it, but like me as a creative as well, like I shoot with cameras, whether it's photo or video. I watch so many people. I look back at the footage sometimes from our parties, and I'm like, I don't like to ever put the camera in somebody's face. I want to be that guy tucked in a corner and shooting with a very zoom lens, so like they don't know they're being filmed, but I'm seeing the emotion. And so to see that Slow Jam Party, we've been to Bermuda, like the Bermuda Tourism Board brought us, and we went there. We went to a cricket match. I'd never been to a cricket match in my life.
Unreal.
So we went there. We've done Detroit, Dubai. Dubai's it's a staple in Dubai now. So no, it feels amazing. It feels amazing, and just to get out and see the world, it's so good, and just to know that music is what's connected us all to us coming out there. It's the general thing that we all have in common.
You just reminded me of, you just mentioned how going out there in the world and that privilege, that experience that we get to travel. We didn't for a moment. Or
Oh,
I mean,
my God.
I escaped. I don't know what needs to know about that one, but you just shared how it was a pivotal moment for you and your creativity and Paul Jones Media. Tell us more.
I mean, so I got heavily into like documenting my travels around, I would say, 2014.
Okay.
And picked up a camera, and then, you know, you go through trial and error of what camera to get and what camera to use. But when the pandemic happened, I was shooting an event for, do you remember the organization We Day?
Yes. Yeah,
So I was shooting something for We Day,
Burger.
and we were in London, England. And that was like, I love stories. So this story is like mind-blowing to me. We were at We Day, and we just finished shooting the event, and there was still this murmur of, hey, there's this global pandemic happening and COVID, and we didn't know, like, nobody knew, but my mom's West Indian, she's from St. Kitts, and I think every West Indian parent, or even some just parents in general, have been preparing for something like COVID for the past 20 years. Because my mom had everything. She had the gloves, she had the hand sanitizer, she had everything masks.
Well stocked in the back.
Absolutely. Like, real talk.
Tons of tuna here and there.
and she sent me that one. She's like, okay, this is happening. I don't know what the details are, but I'm going to send you with this little care pack. So she sent it with me. And I remember coming back. It was myself, Cardinal, Lissa, and a couple others. And I gave everybody a mask. And I said, I don't know what this means, but we're going back to Toronto, and they're saying to mask up. So I'm like, all right, cool. Get back home. And at that year at We Day, the Prime Minister's wife was there. And the Prime Minister announced on Instagram that, hey, his wife came back with COVID. And I was like, wait a minute. I was around the corner from his wife, but I wasn't really around her, so I'm okay. Cool, let it slide. Idris Elba, the actor, he was at that event, and Cardinal's good friends with Idris. So we ended up meeting Idris and hanging out. And it's bro hugs and how are you? And then he comes on Instagram and says he has COVID. And that's when I felt like everything got real. I was like, after he announced it, I get my phone rings and it's Cardinal. And he's like, yo, did you see what Idris just posted? I said, yep. He's like, I'm going to the hospital. I'm like, you sure? I'm like, he's like, yeah, because he has to be safe. And my uncle's a doctor, so I called him immediately. He said, how do you feel? I feel like normal. He's like, all right, well, quarantine for 2 weeks, and they'll call me after. And 2 weeks came, and I was fine. But the one thing I really wanted to do after I was able to, like, out of quarantine was see the city we live in. And the first thing I went, like, at the end of March, I went into the city and I just walked around Dundas Square. There was nobody
just gallivanting the roads.
Nobody was there. Nobody. I have pictures of it all of it. I documented it all. So I would love, like, I want to speak it into existence. So if I say it here, it's going to happen.
It is.
So I want to put out a photo book.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, I want to put do like a gallery or something like that
100%.
of just everything I was able to see during that time.
And something like that, and I just thought about it, will really open up to a time that no one actually knew what was going on.
Nobody.
There was so much unknown.
Nobody.
People were afraid.
Yep.
People also were like just confused with like what's next, because are we just gonna be living like this forever? And it all hit us at a time where we just didn't know.
Yeah.
How have you taken that now and created Paul Jones Media and made it what it is today?
Well, I looked at what we were all going through as it was therapeutic for me. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm so glad the pandemic is over," and I'm glad it's over too. Mm-hmm. Like, knock on wood, it never comes back. I'm like, I don't want to see that life ever again. But for the time that it was happening, I was super happy for the things I got to experience, because I mean, I know a lot of people didn't get to like they were trying to figure stuff out themselves. And for me, like I was saying earlier, I was jumping on the GO train, and I felt like I rented out the GO train for myself because there was just nobody. It was a ghost town.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally a ghost town. And then even seeing the city at bare like that, I got to create so many different things. And just, I was capturing the everyday person and their experience, whether it's a restaurant owner. I remember I was at Dundas and Bathurst, just east of Bathurst. There's like a little grocery store, like a mom and pop's grocery store. And I remember the guy came out of the grocery store and he was just kind of looking around, and I caught a picture of him. And it was almost like the picture speaks so many words in my mind. Like if you look at it, you would be able to think like, okay, he must be wondering like what's next. And that's what it looked like to me. And I remember walking in that area and then walking in the Ossington area and going into like the side streets and stuff like that. And I remember I captured this old woman. She was just staring out the window, like literally just like waiting for the world to open or waiting for the world to.
And that's the story behind that image.
Yeah. So like, I believe whether it's music, whether it's me DJing and playing parties, or just capturing photos or capturing video, everything has a story. Everything has a story. And I played for a band called Tribal Carnival, and shout out to Selena from Tribal Carnival. She hit me up and she sent me a video from Trinidad of one of the mass bands. It was this girl just kind of out in Trinidad, but it's Trinidad and it's beautiful and it's beach and it's sunny and it's sandy and it's this. And she's like, I want to do something like that here. I said, the only way we're going to recreate something like that is if you stand in a costume at Dundas Square in the snow. She's like, let's do it. I was like, for real? So
okay.
we ended up shooting at, I think it must have been like 11 o'clock at night at Dundas Square. And it was the coldest. And I looked at her in her costume, I'm like, we got to do this quick. So the story, like the way I told the story was she was coming out of the Queen subway station. And right as she's walking up, you see the word Queen.
Oh.
Yeah, and it looked it looked insane. Yeah. And then you see her get out of the Queen station and she's walking towards Dundas Square. But we're shooting these things in like literally like seconds because I don't want her to freeze.
Yeah.
So we get to Dundas Square now, and she's with her friends, and I'm with myself and my wife, and we're like, okay, just stay in the car till you're ready. And she gets out of the car and she has her full costume on, like looking fantastic. And I'm just like, and I'm in a full winter jacket, gloves, freezing,
and everything.
And I'm like, just please, girl, don't get like pneumonia, hypothermia, something. But she walks down, and there's like the image. She's walking down Dundas Square towards that like kind of like stage area where they do like when they have events.
Yes.
And it's almost like her runway, and right behind her on that kind of runway walk is this sign that says "Stay at home," and I could not even have made that up. So when we shoot that shot there, we pack it up literally like 5 minutes. We shoot there. She goes in her car, we go in our car, and we head down to City Hall, and we shoot the last shots at City Hall. And this was like for maybe a 30 to 60 second Instagram post. But the fact that she did that, I was like, you're a trooper. But again, makes for a great story. So it's been good. Like I've been able to reach out to a few brands have reached out to me, and I had a good working relationship, or I have a good working relationship with Remy Martin. So they've hired me to do a few events for them as well too. So it's been pretty good. Like just naturally organic finding me.
You were the wedding engagement photos for Lisa and Ryan, like
right, yeah.
Like
did that.
Just interconnected, like
that was great. They flew me to Miami and I shot their engagement photos, and I was like, me? Are you sure? Me? Like
that was so heartwarming.
But I was able to tell their story, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and it was felt good. Like the DJ community almost becomes like family, and we're like my shout out to Ryan Saeed, Walshy Fire, Puffy, Jay, Bandit, a few other LL Cool Blaze, Crown Prince, Very Hype. Like those guys are legit family, legit family. Like they've been there for me, and I'm happy to when they call, happy to help them as well too.
You just reminded me the coldest day ever was definitely not that day. It had to have been All-Star Weekend. And
I think every American that came to Canada was like, we know what Canada feels like now. Like, I mean, it gets cold in New York too. It gets, mind you, Minnesota gets cold too. I don't care what anybody says, because Minnesota's right below Winnipeg, and that's the coldest I've actually ever felt.
Really?
Yeah, Minnesota. Yep, Minnesota.
I actually don't want to feel that myself.
But yes, All-Star Weekend, hands down the coldest weekend in life.
But could have also been the best weekend of your life as well.
Absolutely. I will never forget it.
There were so many people in the building, and everywhere in the city streets.
Yeah,
the city.
I got to do one of the best events I've ever done and it will go down in history. Like, I will tell this story till the day I die.
Tell us about it.
So yes, All-Star Friday night before the festivities. I got to play, I guess, Michael Jordan's tribute event to Kobe Bryant, because Kobe was retiring that year. And unbelievable. Like, I got there and I'm thinking, okay, cool, this is cool, Casa Loma, but I didn't really know what to expect. And I was playing in this little small room, and I ended up like, I felt like I was on an episode of Entourage. That's what I felt like to me, because I'm playing and there was another DJ as well too, so we would take turns.
Yeah.
And when he was on, I was literally in there myself. Shout out to T-Rex, he was there as well too, and we're having conversations about hip hop with Spike Lee.
Wow. And
to me, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's one of the greatest movie directors ever. I'm having a conversation of just about music with Spike Lee, and then like Anthony Davis walks in and he's hanging out in that room and having drinks, and I'm like, this is insane. Okay, so Spike Lee, Anthony Davis. So I'm already on cloud nine. So T-Rex was with us, and he's like, yo, let's check out the other room. So I asked the DJ if he was okay. He's like, yeah, I got this. We're good. So I go check out the other room, and it's literally myself, my wife, Odell Beckham Jr., T-Rex, a few of his friends, a few of the OVO guys, and then like LeBron walks in, and he walks in with Russell Westbrook, and I'm like, this is insane. I'm like, I need a drink. So I go to the bar, and I'm talking to Coach Ty Lue. Yeah, talking to him at the bar, and John Wall's having drinks. We're all getting drinks together. I'm like, I can't make this stuff up. So we're in there for a while, and it's just like the who's who. Kevin Durant walks in, and Luda walks in, and Fabulous walks in, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't get any better than this. This is crazy. So I'm walking back to check on the other DJ, and I'm really good friends with Drake's manager, Future the Prince. Like, he's from Time. Like, he's a really good person, and I consider him like family, like a little brother. And I didn't see him, but he puts his arm around me. He's like, yo, we need somebody to play in the VIP room. So I'm like, he's like, how far are you? Like, where's your DJ stuff? I'm like, it's in the other room. He's like, go get it. I'm sending 3 security to grab you, and the security will bring you over there. I'm like, okay. So I get over there, and it's Michael Jordan's in there, and Kobe's there with his wife, and I'm like, this is insane. So I have to, and then like, as I'm in there setting up, Drake walks in and is just hanging out in the booth, and he says hi to everybody, and Future walks in, like the rapper Future now. He walks in and he's hanging out in the booth, and I literally played from about maybe 1:30 till about 2 o'clock in the morning till about 4 a.m. Wow. Straight, just playing for them, and they're dancing and they're having a good time. But it just felt surreal. And I did prod that morning. I left there, and as cold as it was, I was like, I can't sleep. This is the greatest thing ever.
You're on a high.
Yeah, I was on a super high, and it was hands down, like, to know what that event was and what happened to Kobe afterwards, like later on, it was just, I'll never forget it.
Wow.
I'll never ever forget it. It was definitely
those are the stories that people will be like, you're lying, but you can't.
No, and the thing is, there's a lot of those type of stories. Like, I've been fortunate to be in a lot of rooms where, I can't take a selfie because,
of course,
whatever reason. It's just
that was me with Kobe, and I'll forever regret this day. But I get it. You have to be professional.
You have to. So like, I remember one of my passion parties, I flew out to LA because I was like, I never get to really go to OVO Fest or any of those concerts. because it's Caravana and I'm playing a party that day. But I flew out to LA and I went to, this was in 2016, it was summer 16. Yeah. And got to be there for Drake's show, and I was also, I'm really good friends with Division. So the R&B act signed to OVO, and they was one of their first shows, and they were opening up for Summer 16 for Drake. So I got to hang out with them, and we're backstage, and I'm leaving backstage thinking, but I end up I get caught in this prayer circle with Drake, and at that time Rihanna and Lil Wayne was going to be there, and I'm like, this is crazy. So Drake puts on a great show. Summer 16 ends, and we're backstage just talking to friends, and in the distance I see Rihanna walking down the hall, and she stops and she looks at my wife and she's like, "I love your hair." Aww. And I can never make that up, but I don't have anything to document for it. I have no picture, no selfie, nothing. But I mean, I think in that moment I probably could have got that photo. Yeah. It just,
but honestly,
the
organic, having that moment and remembering it and your own memories is what matters.
Oh, that's all that matters.
Being in the present and not even caring. It's just, doesn't have you've spoken the story. It's happened. We know it happened. Yeah. Like
that's it.
You don't have to prove yourself to anybody, and I know it happened. So it's just amazing. And we've just been talking so much about speaking things into existence, and the way in which you've done that your entire life. You've definitely, as you've worked throughout your industry and your journey and be able to grow in all that you've done, that's why those things come to you. You get what you put out. So.
Absolutely, and I believe it. I mean, I think, especially with the way social media has changed over the years, I think, which is why I got into, documenting the places I go and documenting the places I see. I think those things, when people see it and the quality of it, they want to see more. So it's speaking to existence, but you also have to believe in what it is that you're doing as well too.
Inside of you, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You tapped on a lot of hip hop, and you spoke about interviewing Nas with me earlier. How did that come about?
I mean, I used to write for this Toronto magazine called Mic Check. Okay. And I was just there as a DJ who knew music, and they wanted me to just do like album reviews. So I would write my little review of whatever the album was that was coming out. Yeah. And then they said, "Hey, Nas is in town, and we want you to do like a little mini interview." And I'm like, "Me? Okay, sure." So I ended up at Nas's hotel. I think it was before a show he was doing or after. I can't remember. But because of that magazine, they gave me that opportunity. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, I like the fact that I've been able to, and it's funny, like full circle from working with We Day and stuff that they've done, I ended up in Barclays Center, and Nas ended up being one of the guests that performed for We Day. Wow. And it was amazing. I don't think he remembered the interview, but I did mention it to him. He didn't remember it, but I'm okay with it. I got to have that conversation again with him.
And so when you tap into that, were you into radio in the past?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I did college radio at 89.5 on U of T campus. I did that for about 15 years. 15 years? Yeah. I did that for about 15 years, and then I ended up getting a job at Flow. Okay. 93.5 when they were on Yonge Street.
I remember those days. It changed up so many times. But
yeah. I ended up getting a job there, and I worked there part-time. But the one thing I liked about that job, going from college radio to commercial radio, I always wanted my college radio show to have a commercial radio feel and sound. I wanted it to feel big. So then from that experience going into Flow, I didn't have a full-time job there, but I had a part-time, and the experience, I wanted to be in that building every day. Aww. No matter what, because it was just the vibe, the energy of the space, and everybody was going into that building at that time. Like, I remember like filling in for Dr. J's Soca Therapy a couple times, and like walking in the hallways, and Omarion just happens to be in the building, and just super random, but it's the experience at that time working in that space, and it was such a good space. And I wouldn't trade those experiences for the world.
I mean, look at where you are now. That's it's all part of the journey.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I mean, I like the fact that I can meet so many, whether it's a hip hop artist or an R&B artist or a dance hall or a reggae artist, or even this. I'm good friends with a lot of the soca artists, so I'm pretty fortunate. Pretty fortunate.
Being raised by a St. Kitts mother and that culture, talk to us more about the Caribbean and how that's played an influence.
You know what the funny thing is? I hadn't gone to St. Kitts in such a long time. I think when my grandmother passed, that was one of the first times in a long time that I'd been there, and that was a long time ago. So to be honest with you, it wasn't until recently that I started going there. I started touring there and started DJing there more.
Yeah.
And then I have a radio show in St. Kitts, like right now. So I do, well, it's not just St. Kitts. I have a mix show that I do that's in St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Slam in Barbados, Power in Grenada, Scorch, big up to Scorch and Hoppy and them. It's on Scorch Radio in Trinidad. I'm missing somewhere. Antigua.
You're like Thanos with the 7 rings.
I know.
I was like, geez, still going. We're still going.
It's funny how like people hear you on the internet or on a mix or on a podcast or whatever, and then they want that for themselves. Yeah. And it's funny, like the one that people listen to the most between St. Kitts and Barbados, Slam. Anybody who goes to Barbados, I end up getting messages from people who live in Barbados or are visiting on holiday or whatever, and they hear Jester's on the radio, and I'm like, yeah, it's a weekly show I do.
Wow.
And it was crazy because in pandemic, a lot of the people who worked at Slam in Barbados couldn't go into the station. So they had such a vault of my previous mixes. They were literally running them all the time. So I was on the station all the time. Wow. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I started getting a lot of messages from Barbados.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Barbados, we were just talking about Puffy, and you spoke to me about London, Notting Hill Carnival. What has that experience been like in each of these? You know, we've bumped into each other in a couple carnivals as well. Yeah. Take me on a tour with this.
Well, Notting Hill was my very first time. That was my first time. Where you saw me, that was my first Notting Hill ever. Oh, and
what are the chances? Yeah.
And I can honestly say it's one of the best carnivals I've been to. So much fun, such a vibe, and like the 2-day thing that they do, like the first day feels like a almost Juve-ish type of vibes. Yeah. Especially with the band I play for, Chocolate Nation Mass. They do an actual chocolate.
I've seen that, but I still haven't done it. So am I imagining like the paint that you'll see at a real Juve, at actual Juve, and then the chocolate?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, go.
Yes.
I've seen videos and I've seen. Okay, go ahead.
So I remember they have this thing where it's like the place is going crazy, and then Puffy kind of counts them down to when to throw the chocolate, and everyone's covered in like this kind of cocoa powder type thing, and it looks incredible, and it just feels like such an incredible vibe.
I saw the video.
Yeah.
And that was moving. I was like, this is so fun. Why am I not there right now?
Yeah, no, I encourage everybody to try and experience Notting Hill Carnival at least once. I'm definitely going to go back there for sure, but I'm going to go there longer next year.
No, for sure. I feel like I was saying in my recent vlog that it's like similar to Toronto, but then it's like times 20 because you've got stormers, you've got people of all kinds from different walks of life enjoying the culture. Like that's just really open.
No, and you touched on something. I feel the same way. I feel like because of the different backgrounds that exist in London, it feels like Toronto a little bit. Yeah. Just a little bit.
There's just hints of it, and we have similar slang. And, you know,
and the slangs, yes.
Exactly.
Very similar slangs.
And how would you say your experiences have been in the Toronto compared to other, like Miami carnivals, and you were just on Uber Soca cruise. Like, what have those experiences brought to you within that carnival world?
I think for me, I like the camaraderie. I like seeing. So I have a lot of DJ friends, DJ peers. Whether it's I've done events with Private Ryan. I've done events with Scorch and Hoppy and those type of things. So seeing those things pop up in all these different places, whether it's Toronto, whether it's LA, and like seeing the different carnivals in different places, I think for me has opened up people's minds and what their idea of Carnival looks like, and it's different everywhere you go. Everywhere you go is a different. Bermuda, I go to Bermuda almost every year, and their Carnival is different from what Toronto is. Toronto is millions of people on the lakeshore. Bermuda is very small.
Yeah.
You know, but I think there's something to gain from those smaller carnivals as well too. And I know like popular carnivals that are popping up like right now, a lot of people love Jamaica.
Yeah.
So that's a thriving carnival that people are tapping into. So I mean, there's so many different. That's one thing I'll say that I think people are willing to experience more of after pandemic is seeing different things, seeing more. I actually got stuck in Dubai for a month because it was literally the first time I was back to Dubai since 2019, I think it was, and I went there in 2021, and I got COVID there, so I was stuck. And there's no such thing as rapid tests over there. It's a PCR test or nothing. So, and you know the PCR test is the most thorough test. So every time I tested positive. So I literally was in Dubai for a month, and I almost missed Christmas.
Wow.
I almost missed Christmas. And but when I did my 10-day quarantine, I was able to venture out and explore. I was so happy just to get out of the room because I was in a room for 10 days. But it doesn't sound like a long time, but it's a long time.
I believe it.
And it felt like jail to me. And at that time, the Dubai Expo was happening. So I went by myself. And I jumped on the train and just went and walked around. And it's amazing to see the different things culturally. And I know, like, I went to this women's pavilion. And that women's pavilion, they're trying to talk about more freedom for women. And I thought it was refreshing. I thought it was really, really refreshing to see something like that. So if I was not there, I would not have seen that, you know? So I was happy to experience that. Like, you got to take a positive from a negative, you know? And yes, it was negative that I got COVID and I was stuck there for a month, almost a month, but I would not have gotten to go to the expo and see what it was about and see that women's pavilion and learn more about it, you know? So those are the type of things I like to see, like all these different spaces I get to travel to. It's been pretty cool.
Wow. Having 2 daughters and bringing them up in this world.
Oh, I have one daughter.
Oh, that's
yeah. So it's a boy and a girl.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's 2 kids. Well, having your 2 kids and having to, you know, be a father, how do you want to emulate that story and what you've been doing towards them?
I mean, they've pretty much gotten a front row seat to my life and what that looks like.
Yeah.
From the We Day experiences, like when we were doing We Day with Carnival, the fish out, starting from scratch, like we were on stage, and when it comes to Toronto, I bring them, you know, just to, cause I felt like, you know, I know We Day's not around anymore, but the one thing I did learn from it was having an open mind and inclusivity, and like just accepting everybody for who they are and what they're, no matter what they are, you know, you love them for who they are. So the kids have happened to get a front row seat to see everything from parties to, you know, the fun stuff, but also the serious stuff as well too. And like tapping into some of the stuff that I do creatively, so they get to see what I create visually on videos, or what I get to create on still photos. And I've taken them, like, I didn't want them to grow up in fear. So like after pandemic or during pandemic, I didn't want them to be like, well, they, you know, Doug Ford saying it's a mandatory stay at home order.
Yeah.
I'm like, screw that. We're going downtown. They moved March break into April. When they did that, I was like, okay, we're going to go into the city and we're going to get food and we're going to hang out.
Live life.
You know, just show that life is still happening. Because I can only imagine, it didn't happen to me, but I can only imagine having to go to school from home and open your laptop and that's your classroom. Yeah. It's unreal, and you know, I wanted them to see more than just that. I wanted them to show that, you know, we're gonna get out of this and show people so much more than just, you know, your laptop and opening it, and that's your classroom. You're going to get to see more. So
I'm sure people who are watching this, but also who watch you grow into who you are, have been inspired by a lot of the things that you've done. And is there a piece of advice in particular that you'd want to share to anybody who's growing up in this industry or wants to do something like you've been doing?
Honestly, I mean, it sounds pretty cliche, and I love your shoes, but just just do it. Like that's honestly, like, if you have a passion that you are interested in, no matter what it is, don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't do something. I mean, you're doing this, and I'm sure like people will see this and be like, oh, I want to do something like that. It's pretty cool. And that's the best advice I could tell people. There's nothing like, there's always going to be a naysayer somewhere. Always. There's always going to be somebody who's going to say, oh, you can't do that. You're not this. You're not good enough. You're not that. Try it. I've got into cameras, and I was telling this wonderful videographer that's shooting this right now, I was telling her, I'm like, I'm watching her set up, and I'm like, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody told me like, oh, I mean, you kind of have to go to school for that. Not really. I mean, you just have to do your homework. And I think I told you, and I said I went to the school of YouTube to learn different things, you know. And some things, like when it comes to technology, is everything you want to know. You just type it in Google, or
Palm of your hands.
It's literally there, and there's somebody who's done either a video on it or wrote about it in a post or something. So the knowledge is at your fingertips. So I just tell people to go for what you're doing and believe in it. And if you really believe in it, it will happen.
I agree.
Yeah.
You called out my shoes, but let's talk about your shoe collection, okay? I know there's no number count, but like, estimate, this guy has heat on heat on heat. Every function I've seen him at, it's a new pair. It's
I mean, it might not be a new pair. It might be an old pair. I just haven't worn it.
One that I haven't seen, at least.
That's the key.
That's it is.
Man, I lost counts. I don't even remember.
Too
many. And I mean, I've created a monster with my wife with it, but she's heavily into sneakers, and like, you would think, like, when you see her, you think, oh, when you hear that she's a teacher, you're like, what? Nah, there's no way she's a teacher. But if I were to do a rough estimate, I would say maybe like 300-400.
Wow.
Not too many. But I'll say this. There's a lot of stuff that I keep on ice because I'll save it for a rainy day but not really a rainy day, but you know what I mean. But I do have my favorites.
Got it.
I do have my favorites.
All right, the secret's out, guys.
Yeah. I do have my favorites.
But no, you've shared so much in this chat here, and I'm really grateful to met you along the way and really learn more. I'm so excited to see what's next for you. And do we have an inside scoop of what that will be? I mean, you'll be posting the 2024 calendar, so I have an idea. Is there anything else that we could expect?
I mean, Slow Jam is there, and we have already posted the calendar for next year's events because people are looking forward to it. So they can plan ahead and put those dates in their calendars as well too. I would love to. So during pandemic, I got to. I guess everybody was trying to figure stuff out, and I got to DJ on Twitch, and I wasn't going to do it. I was like, well, what am I doing on this platform? How does this platform work? I'm DJing for free. Like, how often am I doing this? Right. So I didn't really want to do that, and then I got into it. And I kind of created these shows on my own, and this is going to lead me to where I would like to do more of. A producer or a showrunner for MTV was watching one of my shows.
Wow. And
because I would do these like Friday shows where I would spotlight artists, whether it's a soca artist or whether it's, somebody like Lil Wayne, Drake, Jay-Z. And I would do these little spotlight Fridays. But because I was into video and curating stuff video-wise, visually, I'd create these intros for these shows. Okay. Like, it was like the intro for the show, and people looked so forward to those intros. And then the show would happen, and I would play, whether it was the best of the Neptunes or Timberland or Jay-Z, Wayne, whatever, Rihanna, Beyonce. Bungie, Kess. I did so many shows, and he liked the intros that I was doing for my Twitch shows. That I ended up working on a pilot for MTV.
Wow.
And the show was called Hip Hop My House, and it was hosted by Cameron, and I ended up becoming the music director for that show. And it was supposed to go back to air. We were supposed to be working on it this year, 2023, and it got some things, some glitches came up, so it didn't happen. But I would love to do more on TV, like work behind the scenes, whether it's behind the camera or just curating music, because they wanted the show to feel like a mixtape. So I was able to do stuff like that. So I would love to do more.
You're going to do more.
Oh, you know what? Speak it into existence.
That's what you're doing.
You're right. You're right. I'm going to do more. You're absolutely right. And then there's parties, there's carnivals.
Yeah.
There's still those things as well too. But I'm just happy to create, whether it's music, whether it's photo, whether it's video, and there are projects in all those avenues that I have coming up. So it's been fun.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I'm sure everyone else is excited as well. And honestly, you being here right now is a pleasure. Like just having you and having this conversation. So thank you so much for coming on to the Meliza show.
Thank you for having me, and I wish you all the success with this. And like I said, it's going to happen.
Thank you.
This is going to pop, and I know everyone's going to watch this. And it's cool to have. I like to hear people's stories. So I mean,
I want to share people's stories.
This is a good story. I think you should be interviewed. You might have to interview yourself.
Honestly,
you might have
one
to.
of these days.
I mean, I know that it's possible to put you in this seat and be in that seat at the same time. It's possible.
It is actually.
It is possible.
Cool. Maybe that's your next project we'll work on.
I would be happy to be a part of that project.
Let's do that actually.
Interview yourself.
And it's just me interviewing myself. I like that.
Because I think people would like to know, why would you do something like this? And I think, especially living in Toronto, there's so many avenues for creatives, and I wish you all the best and success.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. You just my mind is now going crazy.
I know that
this idea, anyway. But
wait for the conversation when the cameras turn off.